Welcome to the Tennis Warehouse racket review of the Yonex EZONE 98. Updated with a cool blue paint job, Yonex also adds 2G NOM speed to the graphite layup of the shaft in the EZONE 98, which means you can expect a more powerful response and even better ball feedback. The beam construction has also been retooled with the addition of a thicker, more convex cross-section in the shaft, which translates to better stability, along with a thinner frame face for a softer response. This racket remains one of the most accessible players' rackets on the market, and we think the feel is unmatched. The EZONE line of rackets always proved to be a really fun play test, and this was no exception. From very first hit, I felt like that feel was even softer, more plush. The sweet spot felt really large and forgiving. If anything, the biggest noticeable difference between this update and the previous one is I thought there was maybe a little bit more control from the string bed and the racket layup. I could hit out and it was not blasting balls to the back fence. My balls were landing in the court and it was very predictable, very comfortable, very plush. Also, one of the things that I noticed about this racket is I felt like the ball almost stayed on my string bed a little bit longer. So that dwell time was amazing and really allowed me to mix up my shots better. It's very explosive and I really could utilize angles and even touch. No complaints from me. If you liked previous versions of this EZONE 98, I think this is going to be a seamless transition, really easy to use at the net. And then on serves, for whatever reason, I felt like it was very precise. I was hitting my targets well. Those T serves were coming in nicely for me. So all in all, no complaints. Really like this update, a little bit more control rather than power. And for me, that works just fine.
This was a great update by Yonex. I was a big fan of the EZONE 98 of the previous version, and this one I feel like they made some really nice improvements. Now there was a little bit of an adjustment period going into the playtest. The racket swings really fast, so maneuverability was great, but it did take some time to get that dialed in. But once I did, it was really easy to use. Access to spin was great. It was super comfortable, just like the previous generation. The biggest difference between these two wasn't all that big at all, but I would say this one has a little bit more control versus power from the previous generation. This gave me more confidence to hit the ball deep in the court without having to worry about the ball sailing on me. So placement was great. I feel like I could thread the needle, especially on my backhand side. Serving, I wasn't hitting the biggest serve that I possibly could, but my first serve percentage was a lot higher than normal. So slice to the body or up the tee, both were working great, keeping opponents off balance. Volleying, I would say that would be my least favorite with this racket. I prefer just a little bit more mass coming through the ball, especially in doubles play, but that's more of a personal preference, I'd say. The racket performed really well. So if you're looking for a nice, fast swinging racket, if you like the previous generation, this is a great update by Yonex.
Like many of the playtesters here at T-Dub, I've always been a big fan of the EZONE 98. It really offers a lot of access to playability and a player's spec racket. So you get that control and feel, but you get it in a very forgiving racket. It's easy to use, comes around the body super quickly. I found this one, especially this update, to be very fast feeling. I'd actually probably bump it up a little bit in swing weight just to better suit my preferences. But in stock form, it was a very fast racket. I got great access to spin. I really enjoyed hitting angles with it because I could get the racket around the ball, around the outside edge of the ball, get the ball moving off the court nicely. Thought it had great touch and feel. My drop shots were finding their targets. I had a lot of fun hitting those with this one. I liked it on my backhand slice, getting good spin. And again, on top spin, ground strokes and serves, really easy access to spin, good access to pace too, because the racket's so fast and easy to swing. And then most importantly too, I thought they improved the control and the feel of this one. Very slightly over the outgoing one, so a very subtle update. But if I did get anything, it was maybe a little less pace, but a lot more control, a lot more feel. So I really enjoyed this update. It was a good matchup for my game.
Here today to talk about the brand new offering from Yonex, the EZONE 98. We can call it the 2022. This update for me was just top notch. It doesn't take much to get me smiling and gushing about Yonex frames. And you know, once these frames attain a certain level of popularity, it's gotta be really hard to improve and refine without really changing the overall design. So what I found here was an extra 0.5 millimeter of beam stack, kind of what they did with the VCore V Pro series, and that really helped firm up the frame. I didn't have any criticism of the prior model, but I did detect like a little more flex in the throat, so it feels like it's a little more sturdy and stable that way. So part of the mass of the racket helps with its stability, so does the firmness. I also found that, to me, I felt like it was a little more lively and powerful, but it was a very controlled amount of power. And everything else is more or less the same, string spacing, head size, etc. One of the most versatile rackets that I've played with. I'm a huge fan of the Plus and the 98. So this update, like Michelle and everyone else mentioned, this is a seamless transition from one update to the other. I do feel this was refinement and improvement over the prior, and that's got to be really tough to do. Overall, just a great play test. Counter puncher, first strike play, and if you want to modify this racket, it's definitely going to be the racket for you.
We play tested the Yonex EZONE 98 with a bunch of string setups, but in particular, really liked it with Yonex Poly Tour Pro, as well as Yonex Poly Tour Rev at 52 pounds. For more information about this racket and many others, please visit us at Tennis Warehouse, Tennis Warehouse Europe, or Tennis Only.